Yeah. On this episode of Budget Mods, we're going to be doing some budget body work, so it saves you money.
Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa. Honey, I'm a...
So this is pretty much all the tools you're going to need for this job. We're not going to be doing a crazy good job, and it's just going to be very rough, but it'll save you money in the long term if you actually get it painted professionally or you do it yourself. So we've got some sandpaper various grit here, we've got some spray enamel, we've got just a piece of cardboard and applicator card, a bit of bog, and of course safety gloves. Also, we're going to be using a mask because this stuff smells really bad and you don't want to get it in your lungs.
Stuff smells really bad.
A mask would be really good right now too.
Today we're working on my old 1984 Toyota Corona. It's granny spec and only done about 70,000 Ks, so it's in pretty good nick but needs a bit of TLC. Having pink on a car never really looks that good, so we're going to go ahead and paint it some primer, so at least that looks like we're trying. Now because we want to get a pretty even finish, we're actually going to have to take off this entire bumper bar, and I'm going to show you how to do that now. So you're going to want to pop the hood. Okay, so now the hood is popped, we can actually see what is holding in the bumper bar. Now there's these two main struts, one over there and one over there. Now if you follow them back, it's going to be hard to see on that side, but you might be able to see down there, there's just two bolts holding it in. There's one there, and then there's one underneath there, just down there. So once we undo those, we can pretty much simply just pop it off, but always make sure before you do that, if your car is old and has the indicators built into the bumper bar, you actually unplug them so you don't ruin them. 14mm spanner, wear gloves if you have them. Okay, so now the bumper bar is off. It does look like it's had its teeth knocked out, but that's okay. One thing to also keep in mind, which I forgot about, is some of the cars, they actually have a nut here that goes through and holds the bumper in place. It's pretty much just to add more support. So you still have to undo the normal bolts like normal, but then you also sometimes have a side bracket that you have to undo as well. So keep that in mind and don't do what I did and just try to pull it off. Okay, so you're going to need the sandpaper for this one and the primer. A good idea also is to keep in mind that if you have driven your car pretty much at all, it will have a lot of bugs and stuff on it. Now I do advise that you actually clean your bumper bar beforehand you just do that with a bucket of soapy water. I'm not going to show that because that's very straightforward. So now, you just want to go ahead and fold yourself a square of sandpaper. All you do is just fold it over a few times, just like a piece of paper. Then you go ahead and you just want to rough up this surface with the sandpaper. A good idea is to start with really coarse and then go to fine so it's more and more smooth. But for this, we're just going to start off with 180 grit and then see how we go. As you can see already, just after some light scuffs, we've already gotten through the one coat of paint, the second coat of paint, the original primer, and it's already gotten down to bare metal that quickly with just 180 grit. So it's a good idea to repaint your car so it stops corrosion. Okay, so now you can see the entire area is now completely scuffed up. Well, at least the front section is. I'm not going to worry too much about the section behind it where the radiator and aircon cooler is, because that's going to be hidden pretty much by the bumper bar and I don't really care too much. So now what we need is, you're going to need to go ahead and grab yourself a brush. They're like $1 from the $2 shop. You're just going to want to remove any debris, make sure it's completely clean for the paint job. Alright, so now I'll give it a quick coat. I'll show you how to do it even. So, once you get your can of paint, you want to really shake it up well. And you might not be able to see, but there's a lot of little indents you'll start getting on the bottom, and that's when you know it's ready to be painted. Shake it up good.
Shake it up good.
Okay, so, now we're going to start with the right hand corner, and then we're going to work our way around. And you want to make long, even strokes. Don't go too close and you don't want to go too far. You want to go about in between. And you just want to make even patterns all the way along, because we don't actually have a compressed spray gun, so it's a little bit more difficult, but still, to do it on the cheap, it's good. I'm going to shake the can up real well and then just keep going. Professional job, but it looks better than the pink. So now you just have to let that dry for a while, and then you can either chuck a clear coat on, or probably you should do another coat, but I'm honestly not going to worry about it because it looks better than it is. Alright, so now we're going to move on to body filler and what you're going to need. So an easy way to tell where a dent is on a car is, other than you can visibly see it, you run your hand across it and you can actually feel it. So you might not be able to see, but there's a dent right there. You can just feel it slightly when you rub your fingers over it. So what you want to do is you want to scuff it up with some sandpaper, and then we'll go on to moving the body filler. And see how when you sand it back, you can see that other parts of the metal are actually you've broken through the paint and the primer, but because there's a little indent, you can see how it's actually still the normal color because the sandpaper is going straight over it. Okay, so here's what you're going to need to do for the body filler. I recommend, again, definitely wearing a mask and at least wear some gloves, because this stuff is really, really toxic. It's not good to inhale. So Every bog is slightly different, however you should always read it, as it'll tell you the actual specific amount of hardener that you have to put in it. This one is 1 part hardener, 50 part bog. Alright, so this is a little tube of hardener. This is the 1 part that you have to mix with all the bog. Alright, actually get a screwdriver to open it up. Okay, now because we don't actually need a lot for this one, we're only going to take a very small amount, and what I recommend is always use a piece of cardboard and just a little plastic applicator card. You get the applicator cards from like the $2 shop for next to nothing. I think it's like a pack of 5, like $2.50 or something. And the cardboard's great because then you can just chuck it out. Alright, so you just want to scoop a very, very small amount because we really don't need much for this one. But that's all you're going to need. So you go ahead and you just wipe it on that. Now, before mixing the hardener, I recommend that you also close the bog. Use a screwdriver only, just to make sure it's completely sealed all the way around, so then it's not going to go off on you, because we don't want that. Okay, so now you've got your hardener. You just go ahead and put a very small amount. That's about all you'll need. Even that might be too much, just that very small amount of pink right there. Then you just go ahead and you mix it up until it's completely mixed together. And if you have too much hardener, it'll dry too quickly and not enough, and it won't really stick that well. That's why it's pretty hard to get the mixture 100% perfect. But look, as long as you get it close enough, that'll be fine. Alright, now let's go put it on the car. Okay, so now we've got ahead and we've got our bog. Now we're just going to go ahead and give it one last quick sandpaper over so it's completely clean, and then hopefully it'll be somewhat flush. So we're going to do about 3 very small dents. There's a little one just here. See how it skipped? Little one just there. And there's a tiny one just there. Alright, so let's go ahead and do it. So now whenever putting on bog, you want to go ahead and you want to scoop up a little bit, just about that amount, and you want to go ahead and press it and make even strokes. If you make even strokes, it'll fill in the holes nicely, and then it's a lot easier to sand back once you're done. So you've got it, and you just want to go. Now doing this yourself is going to save you a lot of money when it comes to actually painting it. Because if you go ahead and you get this professionally painted, they'll charge you a lot of money just to do the bodywork. Mind you, it's going to be hard to do it quite as good as they do because they're the professionals, but at least it'll save you a bit of money. All it does is takes a bit of time. Now, see, it's got a really smooth finish. That's what you really want to aim for. Pretty much now you just let it dry. You gotta wait for it to dry, and look, I would say give it at least half an hour to an hour. Now enough time has passed, and I think we said half an hour to an hour, which, yes. So, now that the bog has completely dried, you can feel that it's actually solid. You can tap it. Now we're gonna go sand it back, make it flush, and then prime it. So again, you just want to make even strokes until it's completely smooth.
A mask would be really good right now too, just if you weren't sure.
There's still a little bit of an indent, but it's a lot better.
Probably hard to see with the camera, but there's a lot of dust coming off it.
Okay, so now that you've done a professional job, you get your primer and you go ahead, you paint it on like so. Now no one can tell the difference. This is how you want your hood to come off. You don't want that fancy latch business, no. And there we have it, boys and girls. That's like a budget mod.